Okay. Don't I have... Okay. So OBS and more so than YouTube is just being a little bit finicky this morning, and even on my computer. And if you're in chat, say hello, please. I even saw something I've never ever seen before, and that is the where I logged on to Windows 10. It scrolled the time and everything else up, and it showed my desktop, and then in the lower right hand corner it showed the time, and I clicked the mouse up, and there was I didn't have any reaction I could put on my primary screen. I had to go through and shut down, restart on from another screen. So, and that's looking good there, but what view is that? And we're going to go through. So I'm still kind of getting a little set up otherwise, it seems. Let's just get a good view. Now I have the sun coming in the window. I've tried to shield that with my green screen or the blue screen side on this. Hi, Mike. I guess it's going the other way rather than me getting onto your live stream and from the United States to where you are. You're connecting up with my live stream, and for a little bit of a background, this relates to the kind of more to the what they call the mini computer line or the mid-range IBM systems, the systems that were the next tier down from the mainframes. We're talking the System 34, System 36, System 38, and the AS400. The device behind me is it's a model number of 5494, and the that's called a remote control unit. And I don't know if there was a 5194, but there certainly was a 5294. I have a manual for it. I've never seen it in person. I've got a couple of the 5394s, and they had even twin-ax connections on the back. And then I've got this 5494 up on the bench. And this is for in the case where you had typically a remote office. You had the AS400 Denmark. Thank you for reminding me. I knew in a way, and I didn't want to say or to get it wrong, I guess. So thank you for correcting me. But the 5494 would be where you'd have the AS400 in your main office, and then maybe a site office, and you have a connection like back in that day they would have, of course, the their dedicated lines and things like that for the communication between offices, the so-called networking at that point, those links, and then the and V.35. There's a number of links for those. But then you had one of these 5494s in that site office, and you had your terminals that were connected up to that. Correct, and it's a little bit more of a modified Model 90 than really truly having the same case and everything else. There's even the power supply and stuff like that for the positioning of the stuff, and of course the diskette drive, the power button are a lot in the same position. They've gone through and they've replaced these what would normally be a drive bay on the Model 90 with these this panel and these this kind of like the storage hutch that's down below, and repurposing things is a big area in the IBM world. And in other words, they had a 3172 that basically did a lot of the same things to a mainframe connection, and that went through and reused and that's a very tall case. So I've got one of those that'll get pulled out eventually, and that's got had different planers in it. For the Model 3 version of the 3172, they had a Type 3 Model 80 planer in there, and just went through and repurposed it and had microchannel cards. So really at this level, IBM's going through and repurposing stuff, and they're making those adapters, microchannel adapters, do the functionality, the special purpose of that vertical use. And hello to Major Tom in the chat. He's correct in the planer is closer to the Model 55SX. And really one of the things that we're going to do on the chat, this is, and I want to make sure my audio is coming across right. I ran over my USB mic a little bit too much, the cord and everything else. It's just, it's mostly there, but it's given clicks and clacks. And so I've switched to the wireless microphones. I do have the cable ones that do sound a little bit better. They don't sound so limited in range on the microphone, and that's what I've gone through and used to connect on for the microphone in this case. So I apologize if I kind of sound kind of tinny, or it doesn't. It just, there's something that's a little bit off. True story, I had another set of these Logitech, and it was fully marked as Logitech at that time, and actually blue ear cuffs at one point. And I didn't use so much of the microphone. I used them as just headphones in my office, that I could go through and I could play music and hear it. And I could even go out, I'd walk out in the parking lot and everything else, and I would have that link until I would get very far away from my office, probably even along the lines of more than 100 feet away from my office, and before I'd start having the drops of the wireless connection. And they eventually, one earpiece failed, and I got these as a replacement with they're branded as the Logi, L-O-G-Y, excuse me, LOGI, and they've got the white earpiece covering, and these things are absolute crap. This version goes through. I can get 10 or 15 feet away from no obstruction from the USB connection, and it drops out. And it's just I don't know if it's just that this model went through, and I've got a bad one. I don't know if they went through and they changed things around and didn't put the quality components in there, but they made it worse. And I need to go through and just replace them and find out if there's they're to get a better set. Then I was very happy with my old set, and now with this replacement set, it's not very good. I've had these a few years. Yeah, I know, and I listened to the video I did last night, and I know that it doesn't have the range. If I'm sitting at the desk here enough, I could do the wired connection, and I do have more of the USB mics ordered. I've got to get a solution for that, because that's been a problem in the past of just getting a good wireless clip on that I've seen the other YouTubers use that I can put over USB, and that'll have a better range. And so kind of let me catch up with, I think I'm mostly caught up on the comments. Besides that, yeah, and I think your audio from your microphone is really good, Mike. The mic Mac Shack that I've met in person. I haven't gone across to Denmark and met the Retro Computing with Mike. I've watched his channel for, well, actually both channels for quite some time. I'll get something that will be good enough for me that I can go through. And but this stream, I'm not going to go to the point of course, I haven't powered this up before. There's going to be likely some, I'm going to have to look at least getting the replacement parts, that if I have these non-volatile RAM modules, if they're, I guess I have the ability to go here. If these non-volatile RAM modules are sketchy, I mean, the 1287 module, DS1287 module, that's going to be straight off, easy enough to replace. The I'll have to get more of these on order. The DS1225 modules. I've got some DS1220 modules, but if these are somewhat sketchy, and I don't even know for this particular planer, this may have not been used before. There may have not been anything there that really taxed necessarily these batteries. So it's almost like they have a shelf life in effect that may actually still have enough of a charge to be halfway functional. But I'll have to look at replacing those for getting some equipment that's truly operational that won't crap out on me. And so what I was thinking of mainly today was the aspect of starting to get the EPROMs imaged, and to go through and those diskettes. And that's why I did have the my tweener system going here, have my EPROM reader connected up to it, and these are 27C512s. I actually looked at, I've got labels peeling on the inside the unit that I was able to look at the size, and it looks like it's the same image between both types. I'll probably go through and just use these ones to go through and check those EPROMs. We'll have to see if that is in fact in the episodic, you know, the different from ASCII format for the encoding on those EPROMs, and see if those will go through and reveal anything. I should be able to go through and not necessarily do anything live necessarily, but be able to quickly look at those and look at string images within those. And then also the diskettes of what those could show on them, because it's that x86 development again. And yeah, I agree with you, Major Tom. That's why I really want to. I mean, this machine is documented. There is. In fact, if I've described the unit well enough, we can. I can certainly get a link to it as well. I'm going to bring up actually the bit savers link too. Because they've got the, I need to go through and look at the manuals a little bit more in depth. I kind of briefly scanned through them and be aware of what those kind of the sequences, and to ultimately print those, maybe print out sections of those, and because there's keypad sequences that you go through, just kind of almost like the AS 400, where on the front of the panel you select your boot mode and everything else. I'm still getting a lot of that down, and so I just posted the link for the 5494, and let me get that. Twin-X adapter link to and in fact I've got to get through, I've got to remember enough of how that was where I had that and I know others providing links is kind of a challenge. In fact, let's do the, rather than just the adapter, let's do the bit savers link. And bit savers has quite a bit on there. You can go to more of the root directories of the parent directories of the link I'm going to provide. And in fact, I guess I even had yeah, and that's what I'm kind of wondering too, is effectively a planar ID that would at least be definable, and maybe from the diskettes that might be a relative reference level to that. Effectively a reference diskette of the for the system as well, and that's what I kind of want to check out. They have the utility diskette. I'll probably do the system diskette first, and we can go through. I'll get over to the VGA, and we'll go through no, I didn't want to do that profiler. I wanted to do my win image. It's kind of hard to see the screen with the play of and really I should use this iProfiler a little bit more. That is a screen. You can even check your output of your screen for the color and the level, the contrast level and things like that. Another thing about these Logitech, I get even a physical vibration on these things when I've got them on, that I kind of hear as a little bit of a yes, there is. Maybe in a format that it doesn't expect. Okay. So maybe it's reading. I may have to have other disk imaging tools for that. They're not necessarily a PC format. Okay, it's able to read that one. So I wonder if that, and I've had this system diskette out a long time before, and I just wonder if that's still good or not. I would hate to have to look around, or I would need something like that in the grand scheme of things to operate this unit, and my diskette being bad or something. So obviously, and I even have some diskettes for the older 5394s as well. And I don't know why IBM did it this way. They for each generation of the 5294, the 5394, the 5494, they kept the last two digits the same, but they changed that second digit. They went through and is what changed, and that almost like the series, a change of series more with IBM than. So we're going to do 5494 utility. And we'll just go a straight image. I know that it can, we can go through and compress that and such. And I'm going to get that, we'll go through and we'll get that over to Major Tom right away too. And then we can look at even the directory structure on the here. So I'm going to go through all, and I think my, I think the password here is well, I guess I didn't think that out. I think it's masked, but I'm not going to go through. Let me go through and just drop my source of that briefly. Go to a nice black screen as I go through and connect up to FTP. Yeah, it's masked out. I mean, I don't think that there's any harm of seeing with the length of that. It's very elaborate, of course. And we did 5494 utility. And I can even go through and put that up on my cPanel, my web space too. Um, we'll get that image over there, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the let's do the, and I'm going to leave that active. Certainly there's no harm in that. I just want to go through and look at they've got this panel. Yeah, there's probably some of your just how they have that panel set up. Of course, we see the Windows iconize the, and hopefully this doesn't go to the point of effectively removing that reference stamp or whatever of that effect to the system. But we've got an image now. They've got a config. I don't know if any of this would be text level stuff or not. And of course, we wouldn't want the where it'd be written back. We have these definition files. We've got this, and yeah, whether that's episodic 2 or something else maybe. But these look like a different. That's like a panel file. These might be in the episodic. Might be even interesting to go through there. And I don't have the hex editor on this machine. I'll go through and minimize the Win image too. I want to try that system diskette again from the. I thought I had, yeah, I've got the. Let's see what going through. I had it up. Just doing like an F5. No. So I wonder if that system diskette, I wonder if that's just been out a little bit too much. So that's about all we can do with the Win image area. And we're going to go through for our, and this I should have it hopefully up to date. Oh, they're doing still another update available. And I even think it's truly the AMD ROMs, and then the one that we're going to copy there, the one-time programmable. It won't really make much difference, but well, I don't know. Those have labels on them too. So let's look at just the sequence that I'll do for these. Okay, so they've now I'll have to drop back to comments too, just to kind of see. These are actually marked as high and low. So let's go through and I'll do the low first. And just a small flat bladed screwdriver I know I have it kind of off screen. I'm used to extracting these relatively often. And as I say, this wouldn't surprise me for this being in something like episodic, and get that in the right orientation. I was even physically feel the notch a lot of the time to those. And we will do a read. Okay, and this goes through and it complains that these check IDs and pin detects, we don't really need those. In fact, I think it warned me, you can normally continue. It gives you the option of continuing. So, looky there, that's what we've got. It looks like a lot of there's some code. This could be an episodic to where it would take seeing the strings, and even there's your PS2 style or your PC style date code, half of it effectively, to where we'll have to remember that 12/2, and then, okay, I want to go through, I want to save that image. Don't get ahead of myself. Okay. And I'm actually going to go through and, yeah, I don't know why it goes through and defaults to the, with the update, defaults to that directory I've got for the EPROM. So we're going to say the 5494, and we're going to go through and I'll do it by the FRU, which is 03F0. Okay. Accidentally push the right button or something like that maybe during that sequence. Okay. So there's the effective FRU of that. Okay. We'll go through, put it back on the board, the right orientation. It's been a number of years since I burned up an EPROM by getting it in backwards. I did that on a Tribble, and I think it was even I was bummed out because it was even the latest Tribble SCSI microcode. And I got it in the reader wrong or something like that. Just a momentary inattention, burned it up. And then Dr. Jim Shorney had the image, luckily. And so that was what went up on the page. Okay. And then of complement, we have that that 0/89, so you can put together the text would be what 01/2 8 of 92, if I remember the sequence that we had before. I think that's yeah, the 0, 0, 1 slash 2, 8 of 92, I think is what we had for the other one. And then they do have internal FRUs that are different from what's the label, and we always do the label. And I could even do from, I think this is 1, 3. For those, save. Okay. Why it didn't update. Okay. And we'll minimize that. We will get back into the FTP, into our D drive where our XP is, our EPROMs, 5494, and we'll go through and get those images. Over to Major Tom. I'll go through at some point. I'll get them up on my own web space too, and start analyzing them from my end at the same time. But that is what I wanted to do. No, I don't want to put the CD-ROM on you. And yeah, that I'll have to start checking around to find out if that if the system diskette, because it would be the same format as the utility diskette, you'd think. Of if there's, noticing something now. And even with the system being a lot newer, what does that have up in the corner? And I have to make sure I'm cycling here for where my head is. That is extra density. And certainly enough, it's a 2.88 megabyte drive that's on there. And so that diskette could be very well good. I'm trying to read it as a lower capacity. And certainly we don't stumble across those 2.88 megabyte diskettes all that much. I'm going to switch over back to the chat because I've got to catch up. So, yeah, we might have a good diskette. I'll have to get a system set up. I've got one probably close at hand. Maybe a MOL 77 or something like that I've got a 2.88 on it, and that I can effectively do the imaging for that. Yeah, and I mean, I'm used to those option diskettes being the 720 KB. Um, and So yeah, I know the FileZilla doesn't display the login info. The way I've got, and I need to get in and set it up for the quick connect for your site and put in the information there so I can just quickly go through um, and get yours is the only site I have set up. I mean, I don't even have FTP to my own site set up correctly. Um, but I just I'll play it safe. It's YouTube. Go through and blank the screen during that process. But yeah, we can get analyzing that stuff, and it's going to take. I can try and do it later on today to get a system with the 2.88 and see if I can get that image. And that's more of a relief that image is probably still good. I've stored these systems around where I don't think that there's been subject to magnetic fields or anything like that, conditions that would go through and degrade them. And so probably just like that utility diskette, I just got to get the right capacitive drive to be able to read that, and hopefully that'll be good. And we can analyze that image as well to check that out. So that's getting a little bit further with the 5494. Those I'll go through, and as I get the non-volatile RAM on order and things like that, I'll start reviewing those manuals. And I think for my 5494, I'm just gonna I've got to locate that cable. I'm just trying to find out what the FRU is for this high density connector, that cable that's listed as the communications cable, and that may be V.35 or possibly just an async connection that they went through and they reduced that to fit on the bracket from effectively like a DB25 instead. I've got communication cables that are just the DB25s, even for the older AS400s. But I don't think when I got this 5494, and I don't even remember where I got it from, I didn't get any of the cables. And there are the parts of the planers and the twin axial connection adapters that are on eBay now and stuff like that. But I haven't really seen the complete units. And I hope those are just spares, that they're not. It's not anybody that's tearing down the complete units or anything like that. So I need to get that an idea of what that cable is and see if I can find it out there. And of course, as I did on my video last night in the prep of this, I should have done more prep. There's the twin ax header or the Hydra for effectively this adapter, and that's the same as it is for the AS400. The 9406-170 has effectively a DB9 connector, and from what it looks like, IBM just goes through and they stagger the pins of the DB connector. I've got the 8-port models as well. I've got a few of those around, and They just go through and they use 2 pins per twin-X connector. And I don't know if what these are necessarily as far as they probably do the termination inside the units themselves, the AS400 or the 5494 on the adapter, rather than having these necessarily auto terminate. But there's the instance where the 5494 you can expand it, and I think it's probably where a second one of the twin axial connection boards go in. I don't think there's an adapter that just has that connection. But the cable assembly, and I did this on, like, this is an easy way to show it. That's that capture of that image from Major Tom's site, the Ardent tool. And so this is effectively the 72X5645, and it's got the embossed markings on there of 0 through 3. And then that 03F0386 cable, it's marked as ports 4 through 7. And I looked online, and the funny thing is, the only list I ever found for this is it says it lists it for $1,000. It doesn't even show a picture. And I said, what I'm willing to bet is that 03F0386 Hydra just has the 4 through 7 embossed instead of 0 through 3. I'll bet it's just the same thing. You have a second adapter on the 5494, and it just so. And I've got one of those Hydras on the S400. Of course, I probably have to leave it there. I'll probably even just pick up a second one of these for the use of that expansion. I could try the expansion in the end, just to kind of see. And I think they just put 2 of these on the 5494. And so without that communications cable, at least my AS400 and this 5494, it has the LAN adapter A that's in there. And I guess I'm showing a good view of the camcorder. And so I'll probably do an Ethernet link back to the AS400. I know what the IP address is on the AS400 now. Those manuals for the 5494 go through and they show how to set the AS400 and the 5494 to communicate over the various media of the Ethernet, token ring, whatever. And this is the switch that I have. I have the good view on the camcorder, and then I've got this image that I put up. So, kind of quickly going over that again. The LAN A adapter is here, and then that twin axial connection adapter on this whatever slot number it does here, and then these 2 are unused. But this is the Ethernet switch I have to the AS400. This label, do not remove, that's from the earlier days of when this cable was used. The adapter that I have in the AS400, I'll do a point when I fire it up again. I'm going to do a video on showing the inventory of those AS400s, at least for the level that I have. And it is a 10/100 megabit adapter that's on the AS400. And of course, the LAN A is a 10 megabit, and it's got the three connection types: the 10 base 2, the 10 base T, and the little miniature AUI connector, the so-called Mac or Apple AUI. And in fact, I was just noticing that twin-X connector's dinged up on that last one there, and that's the 3 position. I can get the pliers out to go through and to get that corrected. So yeah, the link will probably be through Ethernet for doing that, and I'll be doing it all somewhat local. I think it'd be neat to get a eventuality where I could have the AS400 in one place and the 5494 in another place, using the kind of the modern Ethernet as effectively as my VLAN or my VPN connection, using the public network to go through and connect up the two. But I'd have to see how involved that would be. If it'd be nice if it were particular ports or something else that I could set it up to on my firewalls at both ends to go through for that, but who knows. So just want to kind of look at the time. Doing pretty good on that. Let's get back to the chat window. Yeah, non-zero checksum, and I thought we were doing that with I thought we were seeing that with the other ROMs that I had imaged on. It was a different checksum something to it than what we're seeing. But yeah, I do intend to at least get to try and get it working and on a local level, just to kind of see through. And I've heard of these units still being in service in various places. I'm told by Chris Singleton has said that in Canada they have some auto parts locations and stuff like that. I think he was mentioning his AutoZone or something like that. That they still have AS400s, and they still have they might still have the 5494s in service. But I think it'd be interesting just to see these things run and see what they can do. The kind of the other thing I want to do right towards the end of the stream. And by the way, I went through and I was really happy with the twin-X stuff that I found, and I went through and did an inventory of it, and I was I'm like super enthused that I have all these all the different types of connectors. I should be able to do anything I ever want to do in twin-X, and then I found even more that I've got to go through and add to my inventory today, and that I'm amazed. I've got I've got to go through and inventory the stuff that I don't have the cabling that's terminated at both ends. I'm even looking at running some cabling, some twin-X cabling in my house, and I'm thinking of getting a twin-X cabling. I could go through and use Balin's. I could go through and that RJ45 cabling that I have existing in the house. But I think I'm just going to string Twin X as well. And the thought is, again, maybe one of those 3488s or 3489 terminals in there at my main computer location to where I can switch over the display. I could even do I doubt if I could run it through a true KVM. I could do the mouse through the KVM, but I couldn't do the keyboard with that RJ45 connector. I'd have to convert over and then some odd way of converting back or whatever. Probably just have a separate keyboard. But looking at that, doing that, and so the yeah, and that's good to hear. And like I say, with that that system diskette, that 2.88 megabyte, that's going to be even more, I think, more informative of what there is to the unit. The yeah, I know the AS400s are still out there, and I was related here in my particular area of New Mexico in the United States. I always regarded that we were 10 years kind of behind the curve of the deployed infrastructure you'd see out there. When I got my System 34s that businesses were just giving to me, it was 10 years after they'd been pulled out of service into other locations of what I was seeing in California, the coastal areas of the United States, where it was a little bit more of the cutting edge of or that's where the technology changed. So I know that there's other places that and a lot of what I hear is even outside the United States, where these AS400s are still in service. And I've even been watching, and it's even surprising that my wife is having a hard time with. There's a channel that is out of Spain, and I was just watching they're producing a lot of AS400 content now, and he goes through and he gets on, of course, from a modern Windows computer and going through probably the TN 5250 or something like that to get into the AS400. But he talks in Castilian Spanish. He's in Spain, and my wife from Mexico even has a hard time translating. He says that the subtitles should be in English. Those are auto-determined or auto-generated, and the translation is not even very good. And I think his videos are very informative, but the being in Spanish, I would like to see where they subtitle them themselves or something else, or get someone that can work through those videos to get English translations applied on that to kind of further learn what their videos are about, because I think the videos that they're producing are bound to be very informative to people, and we see these places that are out there and getting to know where they are and having this equipment still maybe in service. For me, trying to do the same thing of trying to get these units in service. The System 2, and I don't know what, are you talking about? Okay, well, yeah, and and that's what I'm saying for the System 36 and the AS400. Of course, for the channel that has the in Castilian Spanish, of course, their screens are also in Spanish. They've gone through, and so it's even hard to recognize. And at least that, for being written down Spanish, even I have a easy enough time or a better time to translate that from how he's speaking and how he's going quickly through on his Spanish. And like I say, my wife has problems in keeping up with even how fast-paced his Spanish is. It's different enough. I've been to Spain before. I've been to Rota, Spain, right there at the Straits of Gibraltar, just passing through. We had just a day or two, even got out to see in the town. And we did have a guy that was Hispanic descent from the U.S. That knew Spanish, and he was at just about as much of a loss as we were around the town, and talking to the locals didn't translate very very well over. And yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is saying this the system 2. I'm wondering system 32, system 34. I've even heard, they have the series 1 that's even older, of a little bit more indication of what actual range. And that's why I say it's odd to me in the way what as can be seen, I went through, and this is front and back of the 5394s that I have. And I'm actually getting a third unit. The manual on top is the 5294. And I had, even to where some mice are starting to nibble on the cover. And I've got to get, I think this is probably scanned up at BitSavers. But this is the same thing I want to go through for learning the manuals. And I'm not really sure of the clamshell, how they go through. It's all more of a plastic assembly to get these 5394s apart. And they've also got diskettes in them. And I believe it's a 280... I've seen the inside boards of these. I think it's it might be a V20, or it might be a 286 CPU that's in there. And these have some diskettes as well. And they're a straight twin-X connection out the back, and then they have the probably an async cable. And I've got other cables, I think, that are more for these. But, even to look at some of the angles to the 5394 would be interesting too. And so I set those up, and of course we're well over an hour of the live stream. I can that maybe for another day of looking over those units and stuff like that in coordination with the 5494s, and I'll go through and see if I can get. In fact, that might be the thing to do. I don't think I have a diskette. I knew that these had. Yeah, I just have the one diskette of the 15393, and this is release 2.3. And it's funny, it says, do not ship 5394 with diskette in drive. And I've always had these diskettes kind of hanging out of the drives on these units. And I want to look at one thing here that we can go through today. And I think that these even have some EPROMs in them, and they might have enough of a board. Of course, they don't have the microchannel slots, but that ROM could be enough PC-like in addition. And so there we have the 5394. And that's what I'm saying. It's really confusing me that they changed the second digit to all these remote control units. Almost making them look as if they were like a different series than related units or generational steps between the 5294, the 5394, and the 5494. But I'll get this image, this diskette for the 5394 imaged and over to you as well. And I'll get these up on my web space just after the stream is over, and start looking around for a system to read that 2.88 megabyte diskette so we can capture that data. And I'm just going to put down that that's a 5394, and we'll do just an uncompressed image, and we will go through and, in fact, I want to do, oh, okay, let me do this too. We want to get in the right place. Don't jump ahead of ourselves and get disorganized here. Okay. And system. Diskette. I don't need to really mark it. It's a diskette, but okay. And let's go through and save that. We will go through. I think I'll probably have to step back and $50. Okay. It didn't update. My directory listing. Maybe I have to go through and step back further. Or why that didn't, but I'll get that 5394. Okay, there we go. I'm just having a hard time seeing with the way that the sun light and everything else there too. if I can get into one of these cases, and get the ROMs, I can do that. I think it's probably good having a live stream on the 5494. On the 5394 angle, I don't know if there's as much content or anything else. I could do that on even a separate video. And yeah, System 1, that sound or Series 1 is more of the thing. And so the Series 1 was even out before, of course, the System 34. And the System 34, being the start of the mid-range line, came out in 1977, and it had two CPUs on the System 34. And that was the first level where you had the System 32 that was a single operator unit. The System 34 went through to the point of having 7 possible twin-ax terminals connected to it. And that's when they started doing the terminal emulation, stuff like that. But one of the CPUs to the System 34 was able to decode for the Series 1. That they had it, those coupled together, and just how those things evolved, how in the big scheme of things. And of course, then from the System 34, they went to the System 36 and System 38. System 38 being where multiple terminals, and then of course that evolved into the AS400 line. And yeah, and I haven't waded through enough on the bit saver stuff for how that is. All the stuff that they have saved, even the manuals that I thought about preserving, they've already got a lot of that stuff imaged and on the BitSaver site. So they do pretty good with that. So I think it's been, and I've had in the interim, I've got some, we're going to have some stuff happening here locally a little bit later on, and I've got to get on the rest of my day. I thank everyone for showing up on the live stream. I'm still even a little bit disheveled, and had some difficulty at the beginning with my OBS and things like that. I'm sure that there'll be later some other streams that are scheduled. I want to, get onto that. I did see where we had Mike's Mac Shack on here earlier. I do go through and watch his content as well, and I know that he had a stream scheduled for later on, and I'll be going through and trying to view that with the other stuff that I have going on locally, just to attend to that. So I think it's been a great stream of looking over the detail. I'll have to look through the data. I didn't even have an eye towards looking how many viewers and things like that I had at different times, but it went pretty well, I think, for all that. And yeah, the bit savers and is got a tremendous amount of information. They've got it as set up as PDFs. They've got a bunch of systems. In fact, coupled with the Ardent tool, I realize the Ardent tool is going to be in particular ranges of systems and not cover everything out there. But there's some overlap between the two locations, and I think that it's really great that content is getting duplicated, and set down in both the Ardent tool and and on bit savers at this point. Bit saves are a little bit different. I mean, they're not as graphical. They're just a way to save away a lot of the document scans, more so than any associated software or anything else that is two things. So, you know, they also cover very different areas too. And I'm going to give just a link. I gave the bit savers link earlier for the 5494 in particular, but I'm going to go through and provide it for just the IBM stuff that they have cached away, those manuals and everything else. There's information on the 5394s in there. I've got to go through and look over some of those manuals and to work with things. So, but I think that's a good point to go through and close the live stream. I do thank everyone for attending. I had a lot of fun with this today, and I'll be having the next live stream at the same time on Saturday. I've got to decide what I do for that, and I deflected over to the 5494. I do have this other this microchannel adapter I've still got to look at that's got the multi-serial port connections, and going through that might be the thing by next week. I might have that developed enough to where we can go through and work with the trying to form an ADF for I've got it a little bit buried, as it were, and then I've got other AS400 stuff too, but going through for an ADF for this adapter, I think won't be. I'll have to see on the challenging level of what that will be, but this does not have an ADF out there that I've been able to find, and fairly neat little adapter in the fact that it's got those 8 serial ports, and relatively conventional in the fact that it's got those 16C 454 chips, to where those should appear as conventional serial ports, and microchannel having more ability for other I/O addresses of serial ports that should appear in the DOS low memory for the addressing and things like that. As the system finds it may be possible to go through and generate an ADF, and so I might look at a video for concerning that. We'll just have to see, but I'll go through and try and plan that live stream well enough ahead. So thanks for viewing, everyone. Thanks for participating. I think we learned some information on this live chat, but that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.